Jeremy Fowler seems to think that two New York Jets are the second best players in the league in their position. Allow us to raise that and say which New York Jets will be the best in the league. Number one, not two, not that silver medal. We're talking about the gold. We are going for the gold. Which New York Jets will be the best in the league at their position in 2024? Let's hear the list from Boy Green and Wudi live.
Zoinks! It is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans.
Field Yates, baby. Field Gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show.
Come on, people. Connor Rogers is on the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor Gosh darn Sycamore, baby, for me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever been.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas.
Welcome to another episode of Boy Green Meets Wudi. It is your boy, James Wudi, and I'm ready for a great show. All caps, no cap. You know what it is, but you also know who this is right here, because this is the reason why we're all gathered here today on this channel. This is the Boy Green channel. Mr. Boy Green, how you doing?
A spectacular intro. You learn from the best. There's no doubt about it. So I want to give a shout out to Jeremy Fowler, who's been doing this for the last 5 years of coming up with these lists. He talks to scouts. He talks to league executives. He talks to coaches. And he talks to 80 of them in totality, that group. And they each have a top 10 list. They poll. And for all the key positions in the NFL, there's 11 of them in total that he ends up counting for. And we find out the top 10 at all those positions. And 2 days into this list, it's a new one every day. 2 New York Jets were featured, one on each list at number 2 on the list. So pretty damn good so far. And we'll see. I think there might be another Jet on the addition tomorrow, which is pass rushers. We'll see if that is indeed the case. If he's there or present, that part is unclear. But regardless, it's spectacular and a great inspiration for today's show here on a Tuesday.
Yes, absolutely. And who knows? You said he. It might be they. Not trying to get into pronouns too much, but I mean we're talking about multiple people that could be presented on this list. I know I'm excited about these lists, and I guarantee, I've had some discussion in the pre-production about there's so many, there's only so many names you can select. I'm gonna tell you something right now. My big board had 11 names. All right, I mean, it's been a long time, and we mean a long, long time since we could say that even one position was the best in the league. But now I feel confident in 11 having a chance, and we've narrowed it down to 5.
Yeah, and let me make sure we get clarity for the people that are watching this show, because I might have to update the headline. I don't think I quite accurately represented it, is that we're talking about the top 5 most likely Jets to be the best at their position, not just at the top 5 of their position. Correct, Wudi?
That is correct. Numero uno.
Yeah, that will take a slight adjustment after the fact. If people are watching later, you will already see it fixed. But for those live, just to explain that was a slip up as we're talking about. I'm like, that doesn't quite, there. So that's my beat. That's my beat. I'm just going to lay it out. That's my beat. But still, a lot of names on the list. Yes.
It's all good. It's it's the right words. They're just in a different order. If you had said ranking the top 5 most likely Jets to be, so it's just, in the different order.
Scrap.
Mad Libs, right? That's a fun game. Yep. But I'm excited. like I said, I know there's going to be some fiery discussion. Who shall we have go first?
Well, remember that regardless of who goes first, you're about to hear the soft velvet FM tones of the number 5. We have a full production team ready to unload for the first time this week officially. I'm looking forward to those sounders, so it doesn't matter to me who goes first. I just know either way, it's going to sound great.
All right. Then allow me, I guess, to get the ball rolling.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Number 5
is a name that I am almost certain you don't have on your list. I would imagine he's not there, but he's on mine. He's starting off this list. I think that we've already seen flashes of what he could be, but he is the first of a few examples on the James Wudi list where I think that an improved environment is going to help him a great deal. Okay, for the last couple of years, he's been 1 or 2 of a unit of 5 that are not terrible. But going into this year, if Tyron Smith stays healthy, if Morgan Moses stays healthy, then Elijah Vera Tucker will have a lot less cleaning up to do. So give this man great health. He's not playing in Denver. I don't care that he's playing against Denver. There's nothing that Denver was doing to him. It was the mile-high air, that oxygen, that H2O that was just a little low for my man Elijah Vera Tucker. Put him back there out on the field, 17 games of health and wealth. He could be the best, not one of, but the absolute best right guard in the NFL if he plays all 17 games with those improved pieces around him. Give me Elijah Vera Tucker, first name of the episode.
One thing you have right, another thing I hope you have right. Number 1, I don't have Elijah Vera Tucker on my list, so pop that cherry, that's different. Number 2, from your lips to God's ears, baby. AVT being healthy and staying away from the state of Colorado and the city of Denver for the rest of his life, as far as I'm concerned. It's beautiful. And not getting enough chatter, quite frankly. He's really a mystery man of sorts. The Jets really have all these other big names. We're talking about the Hassan Reddick situation. We're talking about Aaron Rodgers' comeback. We're talking about Breece Hall finally taking the next step. Garrett Wilson, all these guys. AVT is really down the list of at least talked about. I'm not talking about it in terms of importance, but in terms of the talked about storylines and things. And maybe it'll pick up when we get a little bit closer to training camp. Again, 2 weeks from today is report day. 2 weeks from tomorrow is the first practice. So maybe that's when it'll start picking up steam. But you're right. AVT is that kind of potential that we've all talked about. But to turn it into actuality and for him to be the best guard in football, Zach Martin, who's held that title with the Dallas Cowboys the last couple of years, he had a kind of a downturn last year, a little bit of a rough year to his standards, and he's been pondering retirement. So it looks like the crown is set to be taken. I'd play a Dennis Green drop here. I want to crown him, to crown their ass. Good with the old AVT here. I like it. I like his placement on your list. I did not have him on my list.
Yeah.
This is tough. This is tough. This was a hard list to put together, as you put. You said you had 11 players on your big board. Well, number 5 on the list. This could be controversial to some. Let's play the gosh darn sound effect.
Number 5.
Number 5. Aaron gosh darn Rodgers, baby. There are doubters. There are people that believe this man is toast. And I'll be honest, there was people that were saying this a few years ago. Go back to the narratives that existed before the back-to-back MVP seasons. People thought Rodgers was done. They thought he was on the downslide, that it was over. And he went, hold my beer, baby. And booyah. He had back-to-back MVP seasons and said, yeah, I ain't going nowhere. He also didn't seem like a guy early in his career that would play into his 40s. But now that he's here, and now he's got the motivation and the doubters and the haters and everything, there's a lot of really good quarterbacks in football. And hell, as we go through this list, I think there's a lot of really good players at all these positions, which makes it difficult. But if Aaron Rodgers could help launch this Jets team that's been in the doldrums, that's been in the bottom, and return to his elite status, which I believe is well within the cards with this talent, this may be the most talented roster he's ever played with. And I still think Aaron Rodgers has something left in the tank. And you combine all of those factoids, I think we could get a special Aaron Rodgers season. Quarterback play, quite frankly, we have never seen before in the history of this franchise. Give me Aaron Gaston Rodgers just sneaking in the top 5 of this list of talking about crowning their ass. Yeah.
I can co-sign that. If we talk about the 53-man roster, it could be. It literally could be the best roster that Aaron Rodgers has ever played with. I cannot lie to you. He was not in my top 11.
Wow.
There's nothing. There's really nothing that can be done that would make me say, "Oh, he's better than Patrick Mahomes."
You said there's nothing he can do this year that would say move over Patrick Mahomes?
Nothing that I can actually foresee happening. He throws 80 touchdowns, then okay, I guess. But like winning the Super Bowl, he could be the lesser quarterback with the better team and, win the Super Bowl. But, I don't think, his mobility is at best worse than he's not in his physical prime in terms of his mobility. He's obviously going to be able to throw the football at a high level, but that mobility matters. Patrick Mahomes, you get him bottled up. Next thing you know, he rushes for 20 yards. I don't see Aaron doing that. I actually don't want Aaron to do that. I want him to chill. So with that being said, with him being more of a pocket type passer, I don't think he will be better than a Mahomes or a Burrow.
Wow, what a start to this list. We both started out with number 5s that are not on each other's list. That's a good sign, I think.
I think it's great. That's what that's what I'm trying to say. We are out here proving that the doubters wrong, the haters. So I guess let's play that the next one, baby.
Number 4.
This is my favorite Jet. If you've been following the show, then that should already tell you who it is.
Yes.
I wanted to put him higher, but I can't. And this is actually going to be a consistent theme. This is actually the reason why Garrett Wilson did not make my list, is because this is not
list.
He did not make my list. He did not make my list. He's probably number 6. But again, these improvements that the Jets roster is making, it's not in a vacuum, right? There are other players out there, and that's what I just said about Mahomes. I probably could have just said that, right? Mahomes, I think he will still be the guy. I think Justin Jefferson will still be that guy. Chris Jones, will he have a random fall off? I know he's 30 now. I don't think it's just like a steep cliff, especially at that position. Calais Campbell's still in the league at 7 sacks. So I don't expect Chris Jones to fall off. I do expect Quinnen Williams to have a spectacular year. I expect him to have the best year of his career this year. We're talking about the help he's getting. Jermaine Johnson taking a next step. He wants to be known as an apex predator. If that happens, then Quinnen will have much more help. Hassan Reddick on the other side. If they both play, it's going to be barbecue chicken for my man Quinnen Williams. It will be a career year for him. But Chris Jones is Chris Jones. So with that being said, I couldn't put Quinnen any higher than number 4.
Wow. Again, this is a good problem that we have so many guys. Wow. Man, we'll have to get to that later. But, boy, Quinnen is, in much respect, hell, my boy Taylor Kyles, who covers the New England Patriots, when Jeremy Fowler's been putting this list together, when they have a Jet featured, I give a little bit of a blurb and a little bit of what they were talking about on Twitter. It said, wow, he was, Quinnen was number 2. And here's some nuggets. Read the rest here, basically, has been what I've been doing. And Chris Jones, to your point, was number 1 on the list. Taylor Kyle said, Chris Jones is a sack artist. He has more sacks of the defensive tackle position of the last 3 years than anybody. I think it's 35 sacks. But he said, you can't tell me that he deserves to be higher than a more well-rounded Quinnen Williams. He argued Taylor Kyle. And Quinnen Williams is already number 1, the crown wearing on social media, which I loved a lot. And Woody, he's your favorite player. You worn his jersey. We've seen it here on the show before. The problem is, well, let me just play it.
Number 4.
You picked the wrong Williams brother, sucker. Quincy Williams is number 4 on my list, and he's a guy. If we're talking about the group, and that will come out in a few weeks, the off-ball linebackers for Jeremy Fowler's list. If I had to prognosticate right now of what I believe that list is in this moment in time, again, it's also important to note for this Jeremy Fowler list that it's not a projection. What they're doing is right now. It's not a Lifetime Achievement Award. It's not a 5-year projection. It is right now, and he makes that very clear in the intro to each article that this is grading them as they are in this moment in history. And with that being said, I'm sure Fred Warner will probably be a San Francisco 49er, another one just beating out a Jet. We had that in the running back category. We might have that in the off-ball linebacker category. I would not be surprised if he ranks number 1 on the list because he's got a lot of hoopla. But damn it, Quincy Williams, by some point in 2024, which is the breadth of this list, is going to be holding that damn crown. And it's so funny that there were people, and, I'm not trying to trash these individuals I'm about to bring up. I just know that they were a group that I remember very vividly. They're like, this Quincy Williams guy, I don't know what you could do with him. They were saying this a few years ago that I don't see it on tape. I don't see Quincy Williams becoming this thing. And arguably he's the best linebacker in football. And that was Joe Caparosa and Connor Rogers. They ended up signing, I think I sent it to him, the Quincy Williams apology forms for like their original takes and how things had kind of evolved and developed. I think they signed something when we were doing that. And boy, what he's turned into is terrific. He was this car that used to chase traffic, and he could be tricked, and you could pump fake and get him to bite because he's an aggressive player. And how he's evolved, the analytics say he's the best coverage linebacker in football, only behind Fred Warner. Like, he is nasty. And then that's pass coverage. In the run, the celebration is elite. The hoo-ah! And then the booyah, and the thumping, the hitting. I mean, it revs me. I'm on my couch. I'm like, yeah! And I don't want to throw out my hip while I'm jumping off the couch and showing some level of energy and chutzpah. I can't wait till week 3, Wudi. We're going to be together, hopefully both doing the yeah without throwing out our hips, hopefully. Quincy Williams is spectacular. He's young. He's elite right now, and there's only so much more he's only going to get better as he gets more reps and time, and he learned from one of the best in C.J. Mosley, so he deserves some love for Quincy's placement on this list. He's number 4, man, and to be honest, you could make an argument he might be number 1 in football right now.
I love Quincy. He definitely deserved high consideration on the list, and your point. You said his name quite a few times. Fred Warner, man, I just, I feel like that was another one where it's like, can he surpass Fred Warner at the height of Warner's powers? They're both the same age, both playing on, the 2 best defensive units in the NFL. I mean, it's almost like they're on parallels. But, Warner is a little better. To your point, right? You even said Quincy, the best coverage linebacker outside of the best coverage linebacker, Fred Warner. So that's why he ultimately did not make my list. So right now we are 4 names in, and there's no synergy. But I think I would imagine that stops now with this next name that I'm about to say.
Okay, interesting. All right, let's roll it.
Number 3.
All right. You guys in the comments have been so nice to me this whole time, and I'm fully prepared for that niceness to end. I'm prepared for the remarks. Boy Green, I am prepared. My number 3, I would imagine he's on everybody's list because he should be on everybody's list because in a lot of people's eyes, he's already number 1 in his position. I don't know if I see that, but the thing about this is that he's the only person on this list or on the James Wudi list whose environment might actually be getting worse right? We talked about how Quinnen is getting more help on the defensive line, so he should have more opportunities for one-on-one situations. EVT, he has more help on the offensive line, so he has less opportunities to be, fixing somebody else's assignment, when someone else gets bull rushed. In this situation, Sauce Gardner has been the beneficiary of the best defensive line play in football, being able to be in situations where he's not shadowing, these elite route runners. Now we're talking about a situation where he may be following for a whole game. How many snaps? We don't know. His situation is arguably getting worse. So I could not in good conscience put Sauce any higher than number 3, but it's very possible. It's very possible. Let me be the first one to say it, that he rises to the occasion, creates his own little island, Sauce Island, and becomes the undisputed number 1 cornerback in football, which all of you already think he is, but now other fan bases outside of the New York Jets would say it as well. So he obviously deserves his spot on this list, but not higher than 3 for me.
Wow. Okay. So spoiler alert, we both have him on the list, but what? 3? Man, so what corners do you have above him, did you say?
I didn't say that, but for my money, Pat Surtain is the best cornerback in football.
Wow. And where's Sauce on this list? 3, 2?
I mean, he's not 3. I'm not saying he's he's not. I'm just saying.
I know. I hear what you're saying, but who else? Okay, so PS2. Okay, who's the other one?
I mean, it depends on what you're looking for at a corner.
I'm asking you. I don't know whatever you're looking for. So who?
All right. Well, maybe Sauce is number 2. On some days he can be 2. On Sundays he can be 3. I need
who's
to
2. Who is the?
I need to see. I need to see the film. I just said Sauce could be 2. Pat Surtain is definitely number 1.
But occasionally you said he's 3.
Ramsey's out there.
3. Who's 2?
All right, give me Jalen Ramsey, even though he's had some issues. Yeah, what are you talking about? He came in and bolstered the Miami Dolphins defense.
For like half a year, his broken ass. Come on, man. Wow.
But like I said, I'm rooting for Sauce. That's the first jersey I bought since the Darnold era was the Sauce's jersey. I'm hoping that he can catch 1 interception, preferably more than that. And again, I'm ready. I'm ready for Sauce Island. It just hasn't been formed yet.
Okay, now normally we don't do this on this show, but when it happens, we sure do. There's a different sounder we have to play because we have a new member on the Boy Green Coffee Club.
Oh!
Hot damn. Shout out to Jared B., our moderator in the comments. John LG is a new member of the Boy Green Coffee Club. And by the way, we're introducing emojis. There is one emoji. It's Coffee Club that's already been instituted. So if you guys type in Coffee Club, that emoji will pop up. And also, there's now new member emojis. The longer you're a member, the different emojis show up by your name. So Jared B., God bless. We play the NFL draft chimes every time a new member joins us. Yeah, there's the new emoji. Tio just did it. It's right there for the Coffee Club. It is a Boy Green coffee mug. Shout out to Snowball, who will be our resident emoji creator. So thank you, guys. And the more memberships we get, the more emojis that can be unlocked. So thank you, guys, for that shout out. But I'm going to need a little something stronger than coffee in my mug after that explanation from Wudi about PS2 and Jalen Ramsey. And, he's got like Sauce somewhere in his top 50 corners. Is he 3? Is he 48? I don't know. But wow. Okay. We'll get back to that one a little bit later. Caramba. Wow. Okay. All right. Let me go to number 3 on my list.
Number 3,
because I thought we were heading in the same direction here, but you made a quick and turned the car like, oh, geez, I didn't have my seatbelt on. Breece Hall is number 3 on this list. And same thing that we just talked about with off-ball linebackers. there's a certain San Francisco 49er member that is above Brees on the list, and it's close in certain categories. Receiving, Brees Hall beat Christian McCaffrey, who is a dual threat guy, could do multiple things. But where Christian McCaffrey beats Brees Hall with a brick, that's a lot of B's, is rushing yards. He led the league in rushing yards, and he got nearly 1,500 yards rushing. And the next closest guy, Derrick Henry, was like 250 yards away from him. So he ran away with the rushing title. I also saw this stat. Someone tweeted out a graphic that last year there's only one running back that had over 1,200 rushing yards. It was Christian McCaffrey. And back in 2002, there was 14 running backs that had over 1,200. It's the evolution of the game, of course. But like I saw, I'm like, Jesus. And I'm a former running back, and I loved running backs growing up, of the Emmitt Smiths, the Barry Sanders, the Walter Paytons. I mean, again, that's my cup. That's my flavor. But it just goes to show you where things are different. But if Brees wants to leapfrog Christian McCaffrey, we'll get a preview week 1. It's rushing. He's never had a 1,000-yard season. And not just had a 1,000-yard season, Christian McCaffrey's leading the league in rushing, which just happened this past year. Brees Hall has to make a seismic jump in that category to be considered the best. He's already number 2, according to this poll by Jeremy Fowler, which is spectacular. There's a bit more way to go to reach the next level of that. And I think Brees can do that. I think it's a combination of everything, quite frankly, staying healthy. And of course, Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers, which means you're going to have 2 safeties on defense, lightens up the box, opens up those opportunities. And when they dare Aaron Rodgers to beat them, you drop that other safety inside the box. Aaron Rodgers has the one safety over top. You got some mano-a-mano island decisions on the boundaries, which I'll be very much looking forward to. So Brees Hall is number 3 on the list. He has a chance to surge above that, obviously number 3 to be number 1. But boy, he's got to make a leap in the rushing department, and he's more than capable, no question about it. But we got to see it this year.
You know, Christian McCaffrey is definitely superhuman. I can't lie about that. He's also had a top 3 offensive line since coming to San Fran, and has one of the most innovative offensive minds in the entire world, on the planet. Dialing up those plays, that West Coast run scheme. So that is a beautiful situation to be in, a beautiful environment, as opposed to the environment that Brees has had to claw and survive. But that's not here nor there. Hit me with the sound.
Okay, here we go.
Number 2.
This is a name. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I would be surprised if I heard it, which is rare, right? Because we're number 2. I mean, we should be on the universal, people that we all agree on. But it's simply because the position is disrespected. But I think last year he was forced to do so much. You want to talk about somebody whose environment is about to change. If this man is working as hard as he did last year, something has gone horribly wrong. Horribly wrong. Okay. So with that being said, his averages that have been just, bogged down by just the sheer volume of how often he was on the field should actually drastically improve, right? He should actually be able to boot it every single time we ask him to punt. Thomas Morstead, come on down, baby. All right, best punter in the league. I mean, the man was pinning it in the 20, second most in the NFL. I mean, he had to punt more times than any punter in the NFL. That's what I'm saying. We are going to rest this man's legs, and so that when he does come out, he's fresh, he's good to go, and boom, I think that the environment, the new offense, whether it's Aaron or Tyrod comes in, he will have to do much less work than he's had to do so far.
What a great call. And it's so funny. So I've been lucky enough to develop a relationship with Timo, as they call him inside the building, Thomas Morstead. And it's a shout out to some of my connections with the Dolphins because that's where he was before the Jets, and that's what led to my relationship with Morstead. And I bring on Morstead before his first season. He signs with the Jets a couple years, not his first season. He did have that cup of coffee. Wink. He did have that cup of coffee when he replaced Braden Mann, but I mean when he came back this second time, more recently before he got underway and Aaron Rodgers was already here. He told me, Paul, I'm not sure how much I'm going to be punting this year, but I'll try to do what I can because, like, exactly to the point of what we're prognosticating for the season. And go figure, he ends up leading the entire league in punting, which is funny. So again, it's going to be spectacular to see on the other side. So I do not have him on my list. It's a damn shame for someone who's been on my show so many times. I love Thomas, and hopefully, right, we get quality over quantity, less punts, but more revitalized leg and some of those things. Although I thoroughly enjoy watching Thomas Morstead running on Hard Knocks, getting those running scenes of him. And hopefully we're just doing that for touchdowns as he's holding for Greg Zuerlein. Hopefully that is what we're seeing there. That would be wonderful. So hopefully we are not, like I said, punting from that perspective more often. And Greg, by the way, asked a random question in the middle of this on our YouTube channel. In game one, who has more yards, CMC or Brees? First off, I'd like to know, is that scrimmage yards, rushing yards, receiving yards? What are we talking about? I'll say scrimmage because both players are dynamic there. We might get more Brees, and here's why. There's a chance the Jets slow play Aaron Rodgers in the first game of the season, get him past the fourth snap, and just kind of, okay, we're all gravy here now. Let's roll. They could just lean on Brees the whole game, to be honest with you, running, catching the ball into the backfield, and kind of get Aaron Rodgers through a game or two before they let him loose. So that's possible. I'd probably lean towards Brees. Quick answer on this, Woody. What do you think?
I'm going to agree. I mean, the 49ers, they just have a lot of mouths to feed. Debo, Kittle, Ayuk, if he's on the team, and they're very confident in Purdy. To your point, not as confident, in Aaron, perhaps with the Achilles, and not as many mouths to feed that, are that me, the way that Debo and Ayuk and Kittle have already proven to be. So yeah, I think Brees is the smart man's bet.
No doubt about it. So shout out to Greg for the question. Guys, you could keep questions, comments, and things going. We see you on the Instagram. We also see you on the StreamYard, the Facebook, the YouTube, and Twitter, and all those interactions. We appreciate you. All right, let's cut right to the chase. Let's go to a guy that you don't have on your list either.
Number 2.
It's a damn shame. I mean, it's un-American. Garrett gosh darn Wilson. I am so friggin' convinced that this man who has been disrespected by the ESPN analysts, the NFL analysts, and Wudi, of all people, not including him on this gosh darn list. You're in the fire. I'm just firing off a gun. And you're taking a few bullets, and I'm like, damn it, you deserve those. I'm just shooting around the room. Garrett Wilson should be in the Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson conversation. The reason he isn't this man's fault. And one of the most underrated things about Garrett Wilson is what do they say, Woody, is the best ability? What do they say is the best ability?
Availability.
Damn straight. He's played in 34 out of 34 possible games. You may go, wait, he has? Yes. And he's been nicked up. There's been moments in the middle of the game where he gets freaking clotheslined and his limp carcass is laying there like a murder scene, and the police are coming out to chalk his body, and he kind of scrapes his carcass off the turf and kind of limps aside. We're like, oh, God, not this. We don't have anyone else at wide receiver. And then he buckles up his chin strap and comes back out. He's a tough SOB despite being a more – he's not Mike Williams, right? He's a more lean guy in terms of slender build, and he's as tough as they come. So that's one of the best abilities. And if he continues his participation trophy, if he continues when, or a substitute teacher goes, Garrett Wilson, he goes, present. If he's doing that and he's on the field and he's available and Aaron Rodgers delivering him the football, he is going to be in this conversation. There's a lot of really good receivers, but receiver is one of those positions that it's the sex appeal of the moment. And the Jets, if they're rocking, have a chance to be that sexy team this season which thus leads no one has more targets than Garrett Wilson since coming into the league. So they are feeding this man target after target after target. And that's with no Aaron Rodgers. And target being a general loose term, because if Zach Wilson spikes the pretzel guy at MetLife Stadium, they're like, yeah, that was kind of a Garrett Wilson target. These targets are going to be a little bit more online. Garrett friggin', I can't believe he's not in your top 5, and there's a lot of really good receivers in the league, but it's about damn time. This is what Aretha Franklin was singing about. RESPECT. Some gosh darn respect for Garrett friggin' Wilson, baby. And I can't wait. I apparently got to get a new Garrett Wilson jersey. Mine is now obsolete. Thanks, Garrett, for that. Somehow 2 years in the league, so I need to upgrade the jersey. But no problem. I'm willing to do that for wide receiver 1, baby.
Love the Zach Stray. I'm here for all the Zach Strays. Garrett is fantastic, and he is one of the many Jets who I think is in line for a career year, right? I already said that about Quinnen, AVT if he plays, Quincy, right? I think the same thing about Garrett. Justin Jefferson had 1,000 yards in 8 games last year, man. I mean, there's a lot of talent in that position. That might actually be the most talent-rich position in football. There's so many good receivers. So I'm not saying that like Garrett could be all-pro this year. I think that's possible. But to say, number one, that's
exactly it. The crown, number one.
I can't in good faith say that he has a higher chance to do that than anyone else on this list. Quinnen, who really only has to pass Chris Jones. To your point, there are actual credentialed people with brains that already are making that argument. Sauce, same thing. People are already making that argument. Garrett, I completely understand why he's not. No one's making that argument yet because his quarterback play has been buns.
Great
So while I think he will absolutely elevate himself into that conversation, I just can't say he is more likely to get the crown, as you say, more than the people that only have 1 or 2 people to surpass. While Garrett, he has a lot of people to surpass, and they're all hungry too. None of this is happening in a vacuum, but I'm very excited for Garrett's season.
Yeah, Roger F. just said on YouTube he's a member of the Boy Green Coverage Club. Probably sound like Garrett's agent, and send that royalty check, baby. The check should clear next off season. Send it. Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right. Well, if we're talking about agents, play that sound, boy.
Oh boy, this is
Number one.
The gold medal, the crown. Right? I don't know if we're talking about King Charles or if we're talking about Rhaenyra, whatever crown you need. Okay.
That show. Yeah.
Yes. There can only be one. And we want to talk about people whose scenarios have gotten better. Maybe nobody in the entire NFL is getting an improvement of scenario where now their offensive line isn't the absolute worst of the worst. The quarterback play isn't 33rd out of 32 teams in the NFL. And the defense is just as good as it's been, so they will be playing with more leads. Give me Breece Hall, the fact that he's even comparable with some of these running backs with what he's had to endure versus what they get to have. All right, Breece Hall, he hasn't seen a nice thing in his entire NFL career. He has seen 0 nice things, yet he has us on the edge of his seat with his electric plays, his great burst, his dynamic speed. I mean, this man, for him to lead the NFL among running backs in receiving yards is a testament to how good this boy is. Now, I saw it in the comments before. Rodgers, he loves that check down, discount, double check. So he will still be in there for the receiving yards. But now the holes that will be opened up by this offensive line, I don't want to hear about nobody, right? I saw something about King Henry. I saw something about Bijan. Christian McCaffrey is superhuman, but nothing is changing with Christian McCaffrey. We're going to see another year of the same stats that Boy Green said before. Breece Hall's situation has improved immensely. Immensely. He was in one of the worst situations, and now he's in a very favorable one. So you can see that rushing yard total jump up by hundreds of yards. I'm sleeping perfectly fine, expecting it to be hundreds of yards of improvement in the rushing department. Receiving department could be improvement there. This boy could get 2,000 all-purpose yards. I know that sounds crazy, but it is truly what he is capable of doing. If his knee stays intact, the sky is the limit. Give me Breece Hall, number one, most likely to be the best in the league.
It would be spectacular. He deserves it. Garrett deserves it. A lot of these guys that have been through the doldrums certainly deserve, the love, respect, and everything. And they either haven't gotten it because the team's been terrible or their situations have been terrible, to your point on Breece. And there are a lot of people, and I will probably talk about this if it ends up being the show tomorrow or the next day, about the advanced analytics on Breece Hall and why there are people on that 11-game stretch where he had less than 51 yards rushing in 11 straight games or 11 straight weeks of the season. And people point at that. And there are plenty of other stats that say, sure, that's true. But that meant defenses told the Jets offense, Breece Hall is not going to beat us today. And when you look at the other analytics, that was in Jeremy Fowler's piece. He averaged like 4.8 yards per rush against 8+ man boxes, which was 5th best in the league. Yards over expected, which is a more advanced analytic for, yards over expected of what you think they should get based on their situation and what they actually get. Mina Kimes loves that stat. And Breece Hall was top 6 in the league for yards over expected, of getting way more out of situation. In other words, make a chicken salad out of chicken shit. When it looks like there's nothing right, it's Barry Sanders in the 90s all over again. Immediate penetration in the backfield. He's breaking tackles, making things happen. Breece Hall advanced analytics tells you, whoa, okay, there's a path here, and Breece Hall's actually kicking ass despite his situation. But not enough people look at that and give Breece crap. I saw a lot of people making fun of the Jeremy Fowler list, that Breece Hall was even featured on the list. And again, different strokes, different folks. But hopefully, to your point, Wudi, we get more respect for Breece Hall this season, and hopefully that does come. And you're already seeing it in fantasy. He is one of the consensus 2-3 picks in fantasy football drafts right now for his projection. That says a lot about his situation. All right, here we go.
Number 1.
I'm going to be honest. When you told me this prompt, I'm like, because me and Woody talking our pre-production meetings of, well, what do we want to do for the show? What do we want to do for this? What's the topic of choice? We already, by the way, have a guest for Thursday. I'm looking forward to that guest. But when we're talking about things and putting them together, I was like, as soon as you said the top 5, there was one name that came to my head, and I immediately wrote that one down in permanent marker. The rest of it was all up for debate. And it's Sauce Gardner, man. To me, I'm sorry, PS2, we're on PS5. That's a little old, pal. Obsolete system. Jalen Ramsey, broken, injured, rover looking, jumping all over the place. Jacksonville, Rams, Miami. So good going all over the place. What's happening there? I don't know. Drama. Anywho, there's no drama here. It's point blank. There is only one corner in the modern era that's been a first-team All-Pro in his first 2 years. And it ain't Jalen Ramsey, and it ain't PS2. It is Sauce Gosh darn Gardner. So the only number, if you really want to squint at Sauce, there's 2 things you can squint at Sauce for. Number 1, the lack of picks. Fine. There's been a lot that have slammed off his hands, and I've been up on him more than anybody about some of those drop picks, including the Dallas Cowboys game, pick 6. I would have changed the game. Okay? I've been all over him, and he's had other drop picks in his career. And when you have few opportunities, you got to make up for them. So dropping them, it's even more apparent. And number 2 is the fact that he has not traveled consistently previously. So it's the Richard Sherman criticism. He's on one side of the field. It's the scheme. And things that get fed into that. The Week 6 Philadelphia Eagles game. Tay Hayes and Craig James were all of a sudden these shutdown corners for the New York Jets. They're like, scheme, Sauce, this. More respect needs to go on Sauce's name, especially since it looks like the pick thing, we'll see. That's a result-oriented business. We won't know till he starts catching picks. But the other thing is the travel. Saleh and Sauce both said we're going to see it a little bit more situationally. And boy, when I look at the schedule, Marvin Harrison Jr., Justin Jefferson, this guy that apparently you're getting checks sent from his agent, that must be pretty nice. That contract looks pretty good. But regardless, there's some sexy wide division. Tyreek Hill. There's plenty of moments for Sauce to go mano against some of the best receivers in football. He's number one. So the hardest thing, though, is what people say, Woody, is it's not about getting the championship. It's defending the championship. Once you're at the top of the hill, fending other people off. And Sauce has earned the number one crown in my mind, and now he's fending peasants off. The great unwalk. Get off my hill. Get off my. I'm the king. Get away from me. That's what Sauce is doing. And that's what this season's all about. So it's not just defending for him, although that's the breadth of this, but it's the travel. And that taking his perception to another level. P.I. Merchant and all the hoopla out there. Sass Gadna is number one on this list, number one in your heart, and number one in your mama's heart.
I mean, Sauce is him. Sauce is him.
Damn straight.
If he can catch some balls, then he can be the consensus him. We'll see. I pray. Sorry, the reason why I wasn't able to respond quickly is because I seen the comment in here that Justin Jefferson is on the decline. I hope
I saw that as well. I'm not.
I hope that's just like trolling or something. I just couldn't. I couldn't even formulate words in my head after seeing that. But he is not. I mean, he is definitely inclining.
How old is Justin Jefferson, by the way? 24, maybe?
Yeah, he's been in the league 3 years. 3 years, max. 3 or 4 years.
25, excuse my Guatemala.
Yeah.
He turned 25 last month. What?
Yeah, what? So, him, CD, like I said, there's going to be a lot of good players. Sauce, same thing like I said about McCaffrey. McCaffrey is superhuman. That's a fact. But he also, right now, has an elite offensive line and the best offensive scheme, and play caller calling plays for him to get him the looks that he gets. Sauce is a tremendous young talent, but he is a beneficiary of Saleh's scheme, which has historically supported cornerbacks regardless of talent, right? The Richard Shermans, and then like you said with the Eagles game, and the pressure, the fact that the Jets are in the top of pressure every year with only having a 4-man rush, that's huge. So Sauce is even, the routes have to be quicker, because if they are too long, QB's on his back. Right, the Jets are in the backfield. So I don't say that to say. I mean, I think I said what I said. I think Christian McCaffrey is fantastic. He's in a great situation. I think Sauce is fantastic. He's in a great situation.
Well, either way, the fact of the matter is we have choices, and
yes,
someone made the choice to say Justin Jefferson is on the decline. But that was one choice today, for certain. But I will just say that as far as our list, I love the variety in the diet. Some people would argue that when you present a topic like this, there wouldn't be much diversity in it. And whoever says that, hack two. That's what I say. Anyone who's on that side of the fence, because there's all kinds of variety that could be had here. And again, the thing that I love is this is genuine, Woody. We don't do some game before the show of here's where I'm going to go with my top 5. Oh, it'd be really cool if I pivot over here. We come up with our own top 5s that we come up on the show. That's it. So it's all genuine. It's organic interactions. And when you have someone on the list, I'm like, the hell? Or what the heck? It's all there. That's all my raw emotions on it, which is great. And this is a great debate to have. It just goes to show you. And John Hepburn, that's a fair question. Who the hell is the Vikings?
Sam Darnold, baby. What are you talking about? No, who is JJ McCarthy? What are you talking? You talking about Jenny McCarthy? Sam Darnold is a QB1. Write it in stone. And it's going to be a career year for him. But this isn't the Sam Darnold podcast, so we won't talk about it too much. But it's going to be a career year for him. So recap the list.
Yeah. Just one quick shout out. Just Jared B asked on YouTube, Paul, how many Jets are going to the first round? Most fantasy football drafts here. I would say two. Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson, I believe.
Yeah.
regardless if it's PPR or half-point PPR, I would imagine both are going inside, not only in the first round. You could probably argue they're inside the top 8, quite frankly, a fantasy draft. But we'll
definitely.
see.
It depends on how your strategy.
Correct. Yes.
In terms of Garrett, I would definitely say they are amongst the tops from their position, like top 5.
No doubt.
Right.
No doubt. Right.
Yeah.
But go ahead. You can recap your list. Yes.
Yes. Elijah Vera Tucker, somebody to Boy Green's point, has not been mentioned enough, but I have not forgotten AVT. Pepperidge Farm remembers, all right? So AVT number 5, the big dog, Quinnen Williams at number 4, my personal favorite Jet. I did not allow bias to put him higher on the list because Chris Jones is a bad man. But Quinnen is about to have a career year, in my opinion. Number 3, Sauce. An added point that Boy Green said that I didn't say is, when you are at the top, everybody's gunning for the champ. So if he does feel like he is the dog and other people feel like that, you still got to get that eye of the tiger. So hopefully he has seen Rocky 3 and he can avoid the perils that happened to Rocky Balboa in that movie if you've seen it. Number 2, Timo. Hey, look at Thomas Morstead, Boy Green's friend. One of my favorite Jets. He was doing his job at a very high level last year. Now he will still do it at a high level, just hopefully a lot less. So Thomas Morstead, super excited. And then Brees the Beast. I mean, I literally almost lost my breath talking about how much more this man has to do, how much more this man has to offer, how much he's accomplished with absolutely nothing beside him. And now, the boy done leveled up with an offensive line and a quarterback, offensive weapons. I mean, now the field will be open. Brees Hall will be running more than James Wudi runs his mouth every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon. That is a guarantee. The boy will be running wild. Number 1, Brees Hall.
All right, I'll recap the list real quick. We've got A-Rod, Aaron Gaston Rodgers, number 5. The better Williams brother, Quincy Williams, number 4 on the list. Number 3, Brees Hall. Number 2, Garrett Wilson. Number 1, Saskatchewan. That is the list. There is our top 5. Again, I'll make sure I rework the headline by the time if you guys watch this after the fact to have that appropriate. But yes, I do love it for sure. By the way, just another one as one's coming in here. Roger F on YouTube. Hey, Paul, are you serious about your favorite Jet being Field Yates? Do you mean Joe Fields? No. I was talking to Field in the intro. People are referencing Field Yates works at ESPN. The favorite Jet that I'm referencing, the clip is cut up. And by the way, we're working on a new intro behind the scenes. More details on that. My favorite Jet of all time. That clip is from my Jericho Cotchery interview. And I was talking to him, but it's just a highlight clip of clips. So no, it was not about Field Yates, a former Jet. Field Yates actually is a former long snapper. He did not play for the Jets. He didn't make it to the NFL level. I don't mean Joe Fields either, but that is a Jericho Cotchery was what that was from. But we're also working on a new intro behind the scenes. More details to come.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you, everybody. Terrific Tuesday. Loving the comments. Loving Boy Green's list. Obviously love my list as well. I feel like the vibes were high this time, and we're gonna keep it rolling. We're gonna keep it rolling, baby. You already know this channel. Boy Green Daily tomorrow. 3. Oh my God, I almost said it. For real. Third Party Thursday is this Thursday in 2 days. I know some people already. It's threesome to them. Damn it, it is. But we're rolling with the third party. And we are so excited to have that to open up the discussion amongst the Jets fan base. And we still got some good things cooking. So while you waiting for training camp to commence, we still got some things to discuss over here.
Consider this, by our show on Thursday, where we will have a third-party member. I guess we'll keep it a secret, but you guys will enjoy that third-party guest. First time this guest has been a guest on this show or Boy Green Daily. As a guest on the show, this person has never been on either, so this will be breaking new ground for this individual on Thursday. And by the time we talk on Thursday, we will be less than 2 weeks away from training camp practice. Less than 2 weeks away. Again, 2 weeks from tomorrow's the first Jets training camp practice. But obviously by Thursday, do the math, we'll be less than 2 weeks away. So it's right around the corner, peeps.
Absolutely cannot wait. Woo! So we still got a couple of topics before then, and then we're going to be talking about training camp. But appreciate everybody's time today. Talk to you soon, and God bless.
What he said.